What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. In this video I'm going to be talking about the chances of us having Skeet Ulrich back in the role of Billy Loomis in Scream 5, the chances of us having a missing third killer, of course, from the original film that's been speculated for several years, and also the chance of us finally having a killer get away with it in Scream 5, and then that killer or these killers being our antagonists, of course, in Scream 6. They carry on to plan out a sequel. Getting into things off the bat, I want to talk about that third killer theory. A lot of people have brought to my attention. I've known about it for quite some time, but several people in the comment section just been talking about it, so I want to make a video on it regarding the fact that, yes, in Scream, there's a lot of things that don't really add up in regards to us finding out that it's just a duo of killers and not a trio. Several instances in Scream suggested there's 3 killers, not just 2. One specific instance, for example, is when Sidney Prescott, after she gets done having sex with Billy Loomis for the very first time, Billy Loomis is attacked from behind by Ghostface, who we would assume is Stu Macher. It could have been someone else after what I'm about to say, of course, and I'm sure everyone else is aware of this. She locks Ghostface in the room with Billy Loomis, who is left to be dying as he's bleeding out, as he fell down on the bed. She locks Ghostface in the room with Billy. But yet when she's running towards the downstairs area, from across the stairway on another set of stairs, there's another Ghostface running down them to cut her off at the pass. She turns around and then runs back upstairs, and we know she slams the door in Ghostface's face. If Stu and Billy were both locked in that room, or if a Ghostface and Billy were locked in that room, who was this other killer that was downstairs waiting for her, that came running out of the woodwork waiting for her? That's the most apparent thing that suggests that there's 3 killers that were running around in the original film, not just 2. A lot of people have been speculating that might have been Dewey. I'm going to nix that right in the bud there. No, it was not Dewey. I do not hope it to be Dewey. I hope we don't find out anything regarding Dewey and his possible ties as being a third killer in the original film. Not Dewey, not Gale Weathers. I'm going to go out and say it was probably as you see in the thumbnail, where I have whether or not Billy Loomis had a potential new love interest aside from Sidney, because in the first movie we know that he was still with Sidney. From what I've gathered and what I've assumed, and watching the movie multiple times, and of course just watching it on one viewing, one would assume that he just stayed with her for manipulative purposes, and just wanted to stay with her to, of course, maybe he wanted to try to ignore the fact that her mom killed his mother. Or not killed his mother, but her mom was the reason for their parents splitting up. Maybe he wanted to ignore it at first, but then he stuck around for manipulative reasons, because he was planning a killing spree that was going to occur regarding herself and her father, who we know they wanted the father to take the fall for everything. I really don't know. I don't understand myself why Billy Loomis stuck with Sidney afterwards. I'm going to say it was just for manipulative reasons. But this whole time when he was with her, who's to say that he didn't have someone else who he actually had actual genuine feelings for? Nowhere in the first Scream film do I believe Billy Loomis rather. I don't believe he actually had any feelings for her anymore after finding out that he was the killer. I don't believe he had any feelings for her. I believe he was just with her for the sake of being with her, because it was just something that he was already doing. And of course just for manipulative reasons, because he was always going to plan to get back at her and take his anger out towards his mother on her. Again, getting back to what I want to get to, though, this new love interest could have been the one assisting him in Stu. While he was still dating Sidney, he could have been hooking up with another girl who he was also manipulating, another girl who might have had a crush on him for a long period of time, and Billy, of course, took note of that, started dating the girl. The girl was very aware that he was with Sidney Prescott still. They didn't care, because they were like an outcast in high school. They didn't have too many friends, but they had a big crush on Billy Loomis. Might have had a few classes with Billy Loomis. Billy Loomis just basically capitalized on the opportunity. Probably thought the girl was a little cute, something different from Sidney, and he just started a new relationship up with this girl. Sidney, of course, never found out about this, and those of you who've seen my Judy Hicks theory video, I'm going to go ahead and say this girl was Judy Hicks. A lot of other people have left that thought down in my comment sections regarding Judy Hicks possibly being a love interest of Billy or Stu, and she was the third killer in the Scream film. I'm going to go out and say Judy Hicks was a secret lover, or the secret boyfriend not of Stu Macher this time. I've already made that theory video. She was a secret lover of Billy Loomis, and she was the one who was assisting them in the original film. She was being manipulated by Billy for the most part. At the same time, she did care for him, and she understood why he was so angry and frustrated because of what Sidney's mother had done. But she at the same time was not really all the way down with it. She only helped Billy and Stu mostly because the same reason Stu did, because Billy was very manipulative, peer pressure, variety of other things that went on in Billy Loomis's head. And of course, for the simple fact that she loved him, and she wanted to help her lover, who was very heartbroken over his parents splitting up. Judy Hicks, several years later, of course, I don't want us to find out that it's Judy Hicks in Scream 5. I want to save that for Scream 6. In Scream 5, I'd like us to once again be following Kirby Reed, of course, who I want to be another leading lady alongside Neve Campbell, returning to play Sidney Prescott. And let's find out make the story about Kirby Reed somewhat. She's returning to Woodsboro to investigate a series of murders. The first murder, and one of the murders I want to be the one to draw her back into town, would be the opening kill that I've made mention of, involving her mother, where her mother has died, and of course she's going to come investigate that, or want to assist with that, or be brought into town for questioning, since it is regarding her mother. We find out Kirby has a boyfriend she's been with for the past, let's say, year or so. And then in the end, we find out that this boyfriend is actually the brother of Stu Macher. The brother of Stu Macher, who wants to get back at the town of Woodsboro. He wanted to get back at Kirby's mother because Kirby's mother possibly found out that he was Stu Macher's brother, and she was going to tell Kirby about this. And he didn't. He took care of that and nipped that in the bud very, very quickly. And he also might have had some things going on in his personal life, in the relationship with him and Kirby, that he was just not satisfied with. And then, of course, to get back at Sidney Prescott, because Sidney Prescott might be responsible. He blames Sidney Prescott for, let's say, some childhood trauma he had growing up with his parents, not being able to get over the death of his older brother. He had to watch his parents deteriorate mentally, and that, of course, had an effect on him because his parents... Let's say Stu's parents, one day they just decided to commit suicide, and that left him abandoned, and he grew up in foster care. Just a whole ordeal they could come up with Stu's surprise brother that we'd find out about, who I will add was born after his death. So that's why no one would ever make mention of him. That would explain why we never heard about him. He was born after Stu's death. But then getting into that, we could have multiple killers in Scream 5, but we wouldn't find out all three killers, because again, I want to have three killers for the first time. We would find out all three killers, that they exist, but not find out their identities in Scream 5. We find out that at least Stu's brother is going to be caught, and then throughout the movie, the filmmakers can kind of toy with the fact that we've gotten several shots of things hinting at us having multiple killers, us having all these different shots that we've seen that are a callback to the first two movies, of course, and the fourth movie where we had multiple killers. They're kind of toying with us and playing with our mind to let us know that, hey, there's multiple killers again. But then in the end, we only find out there's one. And we're like, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. How can it be just one? That's all we get. We literally find out it's just Stu's brother. And then at the very end, just when we think that something isn't adding up, or that the filmmakers must have forgotten something, at the very end, that's when we find out there's two other killers that are waiting, and they're going to be planning out the events that occur in Scream 6. The two people who were helping Stu's brother in Scream 5. One, of course, would be Judy Hicks, who's going to be revealed as one of the killers in Scream 6, and an accomplice of Stu's brother, who's also going to be revealed as another who's going to expose her backstory and her involvement in the original Woodsboro killings, and her backstory and her love interest and the relationship she had with Billy Loomis while Billy Loomis was still dating Sidney Prescott, and how she blames Sidney Prescott for the death of her lover, things like that, yada yada yada. Stu's brother, I believe, is the most interesting part out of all this so far for a lot of you listening. But then, of course, getting into Skeet Ulrich possibly appearing. He recently left Riverdale, so I think there's a good chance we could see him come back. He left Riverdale recently, just stating that he felt that creatively the series wasn't hitting with him anymore, so there was nothing really left for him to do on that show. So there's a good chance we could see him in some capacity. Of course, Billy Loomis is dead. He doesn't have to come back and be alive. They could still work a way in for Skeet Ulrich to make an appearance as Billy Loomis in Scream 5. And then jumping into, of course, I want us to, again, of course, have, for the first time ever, a killer get away with it. And when I say I want us to have a killer get away with it, it doesn't necessarily have to mean we find out who they are. Because, again, I made mention of the fact that 2 other killers could be, that could be the ending plot twist of Scream 5. We find out that there's 2 other killers who were assisting Stu's brother, and they're going to be saved for Scream 6. And then in Scream 6, we find out who they are and everything. All we need to find out in Scream 5 is that 2 other killers were involved in it, but they got away because one of them took the fall for all 3. And then, of course, in Scream 6, we get our big finale. The final chapter in this new trilogy. Kirby, Sidney, whoever else, the supporting cast, they need to come up with some new characters. Some new characters need to be around for this. Make it about them. If you want to continue the series past Scream 6, you got to have some supporting cast members that aren't just killed off, and we just have this revolving door of us getting the original trio back. But let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications so that you never miss a video. In the description, I'll have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there to let me know if there's any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. With all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.